Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and we're going to do a review of quite a number of hands from my play on Sky over the last few days. I'm not sure how long it is since we've done one. It's been a kind of roller coaster week again. It's not been all smooth sailing, that's for sure. And I think also during the video we're going to be talking about how my mindset's been affected slightly, how my mood's been affected, how my play's been affected, which I guess is like the most important thing when we're playing. So yeah, it might be a longish video, so go and put the kettle on, make a brew, come back and settle down for what hopefully will be an insightful, entertaining and, you know, hopefully a video that will resonate with some of you guys. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up, the like, share, subscribe, all of those things. Join the Facebook group. Also, if you like my content, I'm making content for Microgrinder Poker School now. If you're not aware of who they are, hit Google, go in there. He's doing quite a few sales of courses and subscriptions at the moment. It is a site that's primarily aimed at beginner sort of players and losing players. It's not high-end stuff like a Run It Once or a Upswing, but it's not meant to be. It's certainly aimed more at breaking things down in a way that recreational players who perhaps don't have lots and lots of hours to study, or perhaps struggle getting their heads around some of the more complicated math stuff that you find on the more advanced sites, give it a look. It's pretty cheap and cheerful, and it's got me on it, so what's not to like about it? So yeah, that's the spam out there. Well, not quite the spam out of the way. I'm going to be out of work shortly, as of the 14th of October for a month. I'm going to have like limited amount of work options available to me, just for a month. So now's a good time if you're going to be looking for getting some help with your game. If you've been thinking for a while, you know what, I might try a session with Reggie. Now's a good time to start thinking about that, because I'm going to have quite a bit of spare time from like the middle of October to the middle of November, when I'm going to be playing a lot of poker and hopefully coaching a lot of poker. So if it's been crossing your mind and you've not got round to it, now's as good a time as any to get stuck into it. Yeah, so that's it. That's all the spam out of the way now. Let's get on with the hands. I haven't looked back at any of these hands. Some of the hands from later in the video will be fresh in my mind because I played them tonight. But yeah, these are like the last 5 sessions. These are hands taken from like my last 5 sessions. So I guess I played like 5 or 6 sessions since the last video. So here we've opened, it's a 20NL table. We've opened King Jack offsuit from middle position when we got like 2 fish and a regular already folded. I think it's a fine open. It's on the looser side, possibly from middle position, from a nit like me, but I think it's completely fine. We get 3 callers, and we flop. Not bad. Good shot, backdoor flush draw, top pair. So we've got quite a lot going on. Fishy player donks into us. I can't remember now what my read on him was. I don't know if it was like aggressive, passive, who knows what. But anyways, we've got top pair and some draws, so we're not going to go anywhere just yet. Well, I'm just calling, or I hope I'm just calling. Raising here would be horrendous. Thankfully we did. Turn is a7 and he checks. So the question is now, what is his like donking range on this board that now wants to check this turn? What kind of hands can we start putting him on? Us having like the Jack of Spades does reduce quite a lot of his bluffs, but also reduce some of his value hands too. We block Queen Jack, but we also block stuff like Ace Jack of Spades and what have you. So I think it's kind of like neutral in terms of like the blocker effects. I guess he could have some 10x. It was just like finding out where it was at. Maybe he's got some like weaker kings, some stronger kings. Maybe he's just like better draw than decided not to continue on the turn. So the question is, do we want to bet versus his range or check? And what do I think? I prefer checking, exercising a little bit of pot control. He did donk pretty big into 2 players, and it would really, really be shy if we got check raised here. I'd be pretty much disgusted if we were to say bet anything from say 240 up to £4 here, and he just like raises us. If he raises big and we have to fold, if he raises small, then we're kind of getting a price where we might want to continue. So I think I like exercising a bit of pot control here, checking back, and then if he bets rivers, calling on some cards, folding on others, or if he checks to us, then just value betting the river. So we do check back and we river a straight, which should be good. I think we should go quite big here, because if he has got any 2 pairs, of which you can have quite a lot of now, like 10-9 might be in there, King 10, 10-7, 10-8, 9-8, 9-7. There's an absolute plethora of 2 pairs he can have. He can have pretty much any 2 pair combo you can think of. He's a fish, even stuff like King 7, King 8. So you can have tons and tons of 2 pairs. We can represent like missed flush draws here, or maybe just like he doesn't fold when we just value betting a king, which we would be doing incredibly rarely here, if almost ever. We'd probably just, if we just had the naked king, if the river was sailing offsuit deuce, I think I'd be probably happy to check this down, although maybe if there was an offsuit deuce and there wasn't a 4 straight, then maybe we'd bet small for value. I'm not sure, but anyways, the board is what it is. We have got a straight, there's a 4 line to a straight, so we can definitely get lots of fat value here, maybe even from sets. Maybe he's like donked a set of 9s and checked the turn going for check raise or something. So there's all kinds of hands we can get value from. So I favour the big bet. Our opponent snap called and we win. And I can't remember what it was he had when he called. I want to say King Queen, but I could be wrong. Anyway, that's that hand. Let's move on to the next one. So here we start with the 7-7 and we open for a 3x. I think it's the same table as before. Again, it looks like everyone's going to want to call us. We flop a set and we should just bet here, unquestionably. I remember this hand. The orange tag player up in the top left corner is this guy here. He's a regular, plays all the time. I think he's solid. Maybe slightly on the aggressive side, but solid. I remember this hand now, and I'm pretty sure a check going for a check raise versus either of these opponents. I don't like that. We should just lead out. There's all kinds of hands we can get value from here, so I think I go for a check, and I probably shouldn't because it confuses me later in the hand then. And we should definitely just bet there like 80 pence, something like that. I was thinking about the check raise, didn't work. I now go for the lead on the turn. And he surprises me by raising, and this did surprise me. I didn't expect to raise here. I expected call or fold nearly all of the time. Usually just folds, I guess, because I think he bets his Jack X on the float when we check. If he's got stuff like pocket 10s, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, he probably checks them back. It doesn't make much sense what he's raising here, like 6-3. I mean, he is loose enough to have 6-3 sometimes, but I don't think from the cutoff, more from the blinds, possibly the button. 8-6 suited again, possibly, but again more likely from the bottom and the blind. So I just got confused here. I was like, do we just like raise again here, and like if he's picked up like a combo draw, or not a combo draw, just like 2 over and a flush draw, or if he's had a hand like ace-4 of diamonds, but then again I'm not sure he raises it here. Maybe he's got stuff like king queen diamonds, ace queen diamonds, but maybe I think he just calls with them. I was really confused. In the end, I just thought he's got value. His value, I think he probably bets a set of 4s on the flop too. Maybe he checks back jacks. So I think he's going to have like a set of jacks, set of 5s. I think he sometimes 3-bets jacks pre-though, given that a fish called. I just got really confused. And this is where we're going to first talk about like how my mindset's been affecting me. If I was playing my best and feeling my best and feeling confident, I wouldn't think twice here. We'd just be like repopping it and hoping he's got the set of 5s, hoping he's got the set of 4s that he's slow played, hoping he's got a bunch of draws. If he's got a straight, we've got equity, etc. But I got really confused and I was gun shy. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit gun shy. We know, if you watch the previous videos, I've had a pretty rotten 4 weeks. We've made some money, but we're way below expectation. And I'm not gonna moan in this video, but we are, just to recap in case people didn't see the last videos, our hourly is way below where it should be. At one point it was like at £3 something an hour, and that's now over like 4 weeks, and it just felt like every time I played a big pot, I was on the wrong end of a cooler, etc. But I'm not going to moan about it. If you want to hear that rant, then I think it's in the last video. But yeah, I was gun shy. I was kind of, every time I was playing big pots, I was nervous that I didn't have the best hand, etc. And that can happen to the best of us. It shouldn't happen. We should just be able to continue playing our ranges correctly. But it gets to us, and when we're human beings and all said and done, and when you're getting a little bit beaten down, then you know, you do go off the boiler. My game's certainly been off the boiler last week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. It felt like it was starting to come back today, which is good news. I'm not saying we've made any money, but it felt like it was starting to come back. And yeah, I think now this is just a super standard. In jam, maybe too much. How much? What's in his stack left? No, we're too deep to jam. It's only a 20-0 table, and we're still like over 100 blinds deep. So I don't think he's going to call with worse. I mean, if he's got a set of 5s or a set of 4s, he's going to call. Maybe we could just jam. But yeah, I think I like jam best, because if I did have a hand like King Queen Diamonds here, for example, I'd want to jam to maximise my fold equity. So actually, I think I like jam best. So I'd like to assume myself jam here, but as I said, I was nowhere near playing my best. I got more than a little bit confused. Eventually just called, and then we checked the river. He bets that, and we go straight for the call. But I remember the hand at the time when I was like contemplating jamming, whether the mouse is going to go across to that the all in or what, I'm not sure. And my first instinct was to call. Then I started checked myself and thought, no, well, we can we get value here still? Is it called just a little bit too much on the weak side? And I think, again, we should have jammed the turn. We should certainly jam now for value. He doesn't just have to have us beat here with like straights and sets of jacks. I don't think he ever has a set of 10s. So yeah, we move away from the call. We go for the all-in. And it's a mandatory all-in. And in the end, I just call. And we definitely missed value there. We left however much on the table. I'm not sure how much it was now, but we left money on the table. Yeah, we left 12 quid on the table, 13 quid maybe, and disappointing, but there's no point doing these reviews if we're only going to review the hands that we played well and not talk about why we didn't play them so well, what we were going through. I was 100% gun shy at this point. All I've been doing like for the previous few days and weeks was like kind of grinding, doing okay. Then 1 or 2 big pots were fucking destroying sessions. It was happening over and over, and that's absolutely had an effect on how I play this hand. It shouldn't, as we've talked about, it 100% shouldn't affect anything. What's happened in the past should not affect what happens in the future, but it does, because we're human beings, and this was definitely one of those hands. So anyway, we'll move on to the next hand. That's from like my next session. These are the only hands to review from the first session. So there's only one hand from this session. There's nothing much to talk about. It's a PLO hand. There's no real strategy involved. It's just a big pot that I played that I've tried to capture as many of the big pots as I can. It's not remotely interesting. We've opened for pot. This dude was just 3-betting incessantly. It was bonkers. We had 2 of like the worst players in the history of PLO. If you play PLO on Sky, you'll know both of these guys really, really well. Not going to say the names, of course, but yeah, they're utterly massive action players. They drive the action somewhat chronic in these games, and it does it to me. It makes it a lottery. I was just like sitting tight, waiting for a good hand. I think I folded like 3 orbits in a row, just folding everything. I was just getting nothing. So maybe played like 18 hands of that, putting a chip in the pot, except my blinds. We finally wake up with the aces. You think, oh, maybe they'll pay some attention. We obviously just like repot it here. Called in 2 spots, which is insane. We get like what should be a really good flop. There's no real draws out there. Happy days. Checks. We just jam our last 8 quid, hoping to get called. We get called in 2 spots, and of course we're behind to the pocket kings over here, and not fucking clue what this dude's doing. Literally no idea. As I said, the guy is fucking insane. And you can't quite see the kings there. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But he's got 3 kings. We're pretty much fucked. Yeah, what is going on here? Absolutely no idea. I mean, this, I guess, whatever. He probably should just have potted it again, pre-double suited kings. Yeah, he knows he got aces, but he's not like he's going to go anywhere on like a queen high board, you wouldn't imagine. So if I was him, once I decided to stay in the pot with his hand, which I absolutely would with these 2 fucking nutters in it, then I think you should just jam pre. It's just a bad beat hand, but it's a big pot we played, and that's it. It did really piss me off at the time because it, like I said, it was just continuing the like what it felt like, which was like just, oh, here's another big pot that I've lost. Here's another big pot that I've lost. I've done nothing wrong. I've lost again. So I was feeling sorry for myself. Whatever. Spoiler alert: we didn't get there. And yeah, never mind. That's the only hand from that session. It wasn't a particularly long session. It was a lunchtime session that, or morning into lunchtime session where there wasn't much going on, which is why I was playing PLO. The only time I put PLO up now is if I can only find literally 1 table of no limit. Then we'll play some PLO if we have some like maniacs around. But yeah, we're not doing too much PLOing. But that's the only hand from that session. So this is the hand from a session. I think it was later that day. Was it this afternoon? Don't think it would. No, it can't have been this afternoon. Was it this afternoon? Fuck knows. Anyways, was it this afternoon? Don't know. I should know really, but I don't. So we've got the ace jack here. We have a regular that's open under the gun. Pretty solid player. Really fishy player here who's calling. Another fishy player in the blinds. I think this is like a pretty mandatory squeeze. Hopefully not the big blind out. Just get to play a pot in position against a fishy player. I mean, we could just call, but then we're going to be going probably multi-way with at least this guy coming along, I would imagine. So I did elect to squeeze. Let's do Jamaroonies, which, whatever, we have to call. And this dude overcalls, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck now? What can he have that like just wants to call 60, then cold call an 8 quid jam? And in the end, I just decided he had pocket pairs that we had equity against. That was what I'd come down on in the end. Like pocket 8s, pocket 7s. It just thought, fuck it, I'm not folding. Of course, he can have some like super elaborate slow plays like aces, kings, and things. But if he's got that, whatever. I mean, there's just tons of money in this pot now. Yeah, I think we just have to go with it here. It's not nice. Do I like getting all in pre-flop with ace jack off? Absolutely not. But with this much money already in there, I mean, this could be a mistake, but it feels to me like we just need to like re-jam here and hope we're flipping against him and he's just contributing some dead money with who knows what. I mean, he could have. I mean, he's has to have a stronger hand than him most of the time, you would imagine, because he can be jamming with lots of stuff. But when he calls and then calls again, you have to imagine that this guy's got a stronger range. So I'm just hoping that we're flipping against this dude and this dude's just adding some extra dead money to the pot. That's what I was kind of hoping. As you can see, I'm not exactly in a rush to get the money in because I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. But in the end, I just thought, yeah, we've got to go with it. And we were pretty much fucked. I mean, fair play to him. He's done nothing wrong whatsoever. This jam is exactly what we thought it might be. So, yeah, if this guy does have that, like the pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, that type of stuff, then I'd be really quite pleased with the situation. But he has ace king, so we're not pleased with the situation. And then we are again. And I had a proper little entitlement tilt moment at this point. Like, fucking boom, yeah, at last I fucking deserve that. And we don't deserve it. We got our money in bad. But it did feel like maybe the tide is turning now. Maybe it's just, maybe it's just going to turn around. We're going to start getting a little bit of heat, and we can get the month back on track. And it didn't feel good to win that pot, to be honest. It really didn't. I mean, I don't think I did that much wrong, but when you get it in as crushed as that, obviously you want to win. You know, you want to suck out on somebody, but it does it. I never feel good when I suck out on people, and I'm pleased I've done it, but I'm disappointed I've had to suck out. But I mean, maybe we can just fold when all in, call. Maybe ace jack's just a fold. I don't know. This guy discussed it afterwards, and he said, yeah, no, you have to call. I think he mentioned that maybe I took too long to call. I'm not sure. No, I don't think he did, actually. No, actually, I think I typed in something like what a lucky donkey I was or something, and then he just put, nah, you had to call, which was a nice little bit of reassurance at the time, but I'm still not sure we did. I think the fact he's put the dead money in, if we squeeze and he back raises, then I think ace jack's a trivial fold. But because that dead money was in there, I think we probably did have to go with it, but I think it's high variance, relatively low reward. So we've missed pre-flop with this hand. I think I 3x'd and the villain in the small blind, who's led out for 20 pence, called, and he'd been doing this a lot, like just leading for the minimum. He was doing it with a super wide range of hands like pairs, draws, it was just everything. He just min bet pretty much everything. It was his standard line here. So I mean, I think we got some options here. Folding isn't one of them. I think raising's fine. We have some like 1-over card, we have some like backdoor stuff going on, not massive stuff, but I think versus like what I thought was an incredibly weak range, I did elect to raise. My opponent tanked to one, just calls. 3 on the turn. He donks again, much bigger this time, and at this point I was kind of thinking, well, what does this? And these types of villains, I put them on draws a lot of the time when they do this. I mean, if they like the hand enough to like donk, call, donk again, you'd imagine a lot of the time they would just 3-bet when you raise. So here I was kind of thinking, he's not donking a 9, he's not donking a 4. It doesn't make that much sense he has a queen. So I started thinking about all the different, I mean, us having a jack here isn't very useful, because you want him to have stuff like 10 jack, king jack, 8 jack, stuff like that. You want to have like all the good shots with a jack X type hand. So having a jack isn't that useful, but I kind of thought you could have a lot of jack X here that we were still ahead of, that we could get value from, or just having that fold equity, so deny him some equity. So I think I went for another raise here, which feels a bit spewy now, to be honest. I mean, if we think he's got a lot of draws, we can just call. Why do we need to raise? Because I've already I don't think for a second he's got a 9. I don't think for a second he's got a 4. So what? I think just calling here would be better. If I think he's got a lot of draws, why not just call? This again, I'm not presenting I was playing well in these spots. I wasn't playing very well. I haven't been playing very well for a while. I've been playing okay, doing okay, but confident. I've been doing some things that I don't normally do. Here I would just normally call or fold. I think I started fighting a little bit harder for pots against fish in spots where I had no real right to fight hard, or no business fighting hard. And when our opponent just calls again, then I'm convinced by now he does have a draw. And if he does have a draw, everything's bricked. So we just have like a nice easy check back or what have you. So let's see what happens. He leads out for 7. And just play it through, because I think I actually even typed in the chat box here. I'm still chatting away, chirping away. Yeah, I've actually typed in the chat box. You guys won't be able to see because I'm going to blank it out, of course. But I actually typed in the chat box, hero call, error incoming. Which, I don't know, maybe I thought it was going to be a bad call to begin with, but it just felt like he had a draw to me. And we beat every draw he can have. Unless he's got, like, I don't know, 4x of spades or something like that. So we tanked down and we called right at the last second, and he shot us queen 4 off suit. So there you go. He dragged down a big one there. Upon review, I don't hate the flop raise. I think we should just call the turn, and then I think we should just call the river. I don't think we should fold, because he can have a lot of air balls and draw. Well, not so much air balls, because air balls don't call the raises. But he can have a ton of draws here, like I said, Jack 10, King Jack, Jack 8, you know, stuff like that. I don't think he's betting a 4 or a 9 on the run there. So he's either going to have a queen, or he's going to have nothing. And I think when people are like polarised to queen or nothing, then I think calling there's okay. I didn't love it, but I was still trying to play well. I was still trying to think through situations and try and play my best. And yeah, I don't hate that. I do hate the turn raise. I despise the turn raise now, because we should just call and allow all this plus to continue barrelling. There's no reason whatsoever to raise the turn. Maybe for like stupidly thin value if you wanted to try and justify it, but no, the turn's just a call and stop being a dick Reggie, basically. Yeah, so this session was this afternoon, because I remember this hand pretty well. We have a regular on the button who was opened, a stupendously fishy player who eventually turned to a blue tag, I think. In the small blind, we have King Jack suit. We have options here. We can either go for a squeeze, try and get rid of the button and play heads up in position with a very playable hand against someone who's got an incredibly wide range, or we can just call, see a flop and go from there. And I think I prefer squeezing. Knocking the button out here has like a ton of value when we're trying to isolate a fish. So I think I much prefer the squeeze. If this was two regulars, probably just call. But the value of trying to knock this guy out of the pot and then play the hand as good as this in position against somebody who's like close to any two, then yeah, I think that's the best play. So we did go for it. We've got two callers. We flop top pair, good kicker. I don't think this guy's going to have too much King X in his range. I think like King Queen suited, maybe King Queen off, but Ace King almost assuredly just like 4 bets pre. So pretty confident I'm ahead of him unless he's like got King Queen or a set. So I think we can like fire out a like 1/3 pot C bet here, respond accordingly to him and not give a shit what he does. So let's see how big a bet. I'd like to see me go like no more than 3 really. 220, probably too small. A little bit too small maybe. He jams. He shows the flush draw and immediately hits it. And again, that was like another kick in the balls, to be honest. And I ended the session again shortly afterwards. Probably shouldn't be ending sessions when you've got people as bad as him at the table who've now got like a fat 34 quid stack. But I did end the session, and if I recall correctly, it was 16:26. I was picking my daughter up from work at 5 o'clock, and I had to pick my son up from home before that, so we didn't end the session. I think I probably would have continued playing, but it probably wasn't the worst time to have the session punctuated by something that I needed to do. But yeah, again, it's just like when you're starting to think of making a little bit of progress, you know, and starting to like, feel better, play better, then yeah, you get another kick in the balls. And again, we're not mourning about bad beats because they happen all the time. This has been happening an extraordinary amount of the time recently, but I'm not mourning and we're not going to focus on it. So we're going to move on to the next video. So this video is my first of 2 evening sessions late tonight. Well, one late evening, as you can see, 20 to midnight. Then we took a break and played another one after it. We've isolated a really bad loose limper here. We've been picked up a call from the small blind, and we flopped very nicely. He checks. What size that seems to go to here? This guy was pretty sticky too, but it's relatively dry board. Yeah, there's some like gut shots and things on there, and some maybe some open enders with like King 10 and what have you. But I don't think we need to go super big here. It looks like we're going to make it pot, and I think that's too big. The last session I played, I had like proper good think between sessions about like how I'm going to approach going forward, because I mean, I knew I wasn't playing like super well, and I'd been thinking about it through the day, and the mistakes I've been making bet sizes that are too big, that I'm manipulating my opponent's range in a way that isn't that good for me. And the bigger we bet, the tighter our opponent's range is going to be for calling and etc. And I just think like when I'm playing really well, I play like pretty like tightish small ball, if you will, for want of a better way of putting it. And I was like, I sat between sessions and I was like thinking about a few things that I've been watching lately. I've been watching some of the W Coop, and I was watching last night Limitless's final table, and just how small bet sizes these guys were making, like 1/4 pot C bet sizes. Pretty small raises pretty small like on flops, and then they were starting to upsize turns and rivers some of the time. And I realised that I'd stopped doing that. That's been my style for quite a while now, and I realised that as the prolonged break-even / just about winning stretch has been going on, the more kind of desperate I've been getting on my bet sizing, betting bigger with my value hands to try and get more value, betting bigger with my bluffs to try and get more folds. I've just been doing everything bigger, and I don't think that's the correct approach. And I think if we bet 3 here, I think I was still doing it at this point. It's way too big. I think still 270 is too big as well, really. For that type of hands we're hoping to get called by here, Jack X, some good shots, some 10x, 9x, stuff like that. It's just too fucking big. My opponent calls, ace comes on the turn, which shouldn't change too much. King 10 gets there, obviously. It's clearly not a good card for us because it's going to get us too much forward equity against the types of hands we still want to try and get some action from. He checks. Yeah, Reggie, these bets are way too big. I'm going to give a caveat to this because I remember the hand now, I remember the opponent. This guy had previously, I'm pointing at the screen with my fucking pen, had that literally 2 or 3 hands earlier dumped a massive pawn him, where he had Jack Deuce on a Queen Jack X flop. It went check, pot, call. Turn was a queen that brought a flush, potential flush, check, pot, call. River was an ace, check, pot, call. And he called down with like Jack Deuce on a board that had a flush, it had 2 queens, it had an ace on it. So this is why I was betting big. So yeah, typically these bets will be too big, but against this exact person, they weren't too big because he was just calling down with literally anything. If he had a piece, he didn't give a fuck. I mean, who calls down on Queen Jack X, Queen Ace with a flush with Jack Deuce? So that's why I was making these sizes. So I'm giving myself a pass on this one. Typically these will be way too big against an exact opponent. I think it's as I should be doing it. And then obviously we just jam the river and hope he calls with any pair. And he called with 2 pair that were beating us. And I didn't even feel bad about that. You know, I felt a bit like, fucking why me? He's just dumped a fucking stack on this dude over here. And then I've been the guy that's like doubling back up again, which is kind of unfortunate. And then within fucking minutes, he dumped a load more on this dude. And I was just like, no, what is going on here? What the fuck is going on? Why am I the only person who can't seem to beat fish these days? And yeah, I started feeling a little bit sorry for myself again. But then we played the hand fine. We just, I mean, if he had 10 Jack there, he's not folding. If he had Jack 4, he's not folding any of those hands because I've seen him call down with worse hands on less coordinated boards. So I'm completely happy with the hand, just not happy with the outcome. Here we are with the same play at the same table and very good regular opens from the cutoff. We just call because there's not a fucking chance I want this guy folding. I don't give a fuck about Ace King should be a 3-bet pre-flop. When we had this guy in the big blind, all I was interested in was playing pots against this dude and felting him before somebody else did. As you can see, he had a £40 stack just a few minutes ago. He's already dumped some back on this dude. Didn't dump as much back on him as I thought he did. Then he subsequently dumped it on him. And it was just a like magic merry-go-round of money between some of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. And I was getting fucking none of it, but never mind. So we just call with the Ace King to allow him to continue in the pot. We flop absolute gin. And so I must have had the thoughts not between session but before this session because we're going back to the small sizing again here. I don't necessarily like it against this dude knowing that he calls with literally anything. Problem is we have the board so crushed he's just going to have a big chunk of nothing most of the time that just can't call any kind of like big bets. So we did go with the small bet. He calls. Regular gets out of the way. We turn the nuts. I go with a slightly bigger bet this time, just fucking hoping he's got a 7 or a flush draw that he's not folding. Deuce comes on the river. He leads out for this, and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, we're chopping. I just presume chop chop here. I'm fucking hope he's got a 7. Hope he's got a 7 because we're getting a lot if he's got a 7. But I just presume we were chopping and I was a bit pissed off. So we went all in and he called us with that, which I can honestly say, hand on heart, I do not think I have ever seen a worse call in my entire life than that hand there. Just take a little moment to look at it. The man has played the King 776 and he's called the river. Now don't get me wrong, he only had £7 left, but I don't give a fuck if he only had 50 pence left. You know, I mean, the guy's got King 776, you know, that's his hand. And yeah, no idea if he thought he had a better hand than he did or if he just did not give a fuck. But this really justifies my huge sizing on the previous hand and shows just how unlucky we got when. I mean, this is just possibly the most bonkers hand I've played all year. It just doesn't, it makes no sense. His flop float is dreadful. His turn call, calling with a 6-high flush draw on a double paired board doesn't seem too clever to me. Donk the river, you know, fair dues, try and represent something, try and make me fold something, but when I go all in, just save your £7, kid. Just save your £7. But anyway, we're not going to mourn, we're going to take it because the month we've had, all donations are gratefully received, and that was certainly a nice one. Not long after that video, this table broke, and that's when I broke my brakes. We've got one more video to look at, and there's 8 hands in it, so we've got a long time to go yet. So in this hand we have opened the 4-5 pre-flop from middle position, which is definitely on the loose side, but we've got like multiple fish at the table. I mean, this guy's out now, but 2 fish behind us. 4-5 is going to play pretty well in my opinion, and at these tables we just need to be playing these types of hands, because when we do make some hands we win some very big pots versus fish, and they just got like a lot of playability. Is it a little bit loose? Maybe. When I was 3xing, which I was like up until later on today, I probably would have folded that hand, which is another reason why I like making the smaller sizes free, because it just allows us to play more hands. We can open more hands, we can defend more hands versus 3-bets, etc. When I was 3xing to like 60 and stuff, I was probably gonna muck this hand. So yeah, that's why I prefer the smaller sizes, allows us to play more hands. So even though we're multi-way, I like the small c-bet here. It's a pretty dry board. If we get raised, we can continue most of the time. If we bet, say, bigger here to the 240 or something, and then we get raised to 720, all of a sudden it makes life difficult. You know, did you really want to start calling those big bets when you know the turn bomb's going to be coming most of the time, etc. So I like the small bet open. I like the small c-bet multi-way. I'd be c-betting this with my entire range. This kind of size, just like 1/3 pot, in 1/3, 1/4 pot. It's made me feel like I'm playing a lot better now. I've got back to doing what I used to be doing. We did get called. This playback needs to go faster, doesn't it? We got called. We turned a bad card for our hand, but I think it's a hand that's going to give us like a lot of fold equity against like 3x, 2x, 9x, pocket 5s, pocket 6s, that type of thing. So I think it's a mandatory barrel, even into 2 players. And this is where I like to go pretty big. I say small on flops, then splitting on turns, sometimes staying small, sometimes going bigger, depending on who's in the pot, what we're trying to achieve, etc. So sometimes I will continue just betting small with parts of my range, with other parts of my range I will bet bigger, which is what we've done. Obviously we're crying out for a fold at this point. We do get called, and then the jack comes on the river. And now it's just a matter of, do we bluff again or do we give up? The thing is, I think this guy was fishy enough to have lots of like weak stuff in his range, still like gut shots, ace 4, ace 5, 6-5, 9x that might finally turn up with the fold. Don't think he has much king x and jack x in his range. How can he really? That's called the flop and then called the turn. Although our flop bet was so small, I guess he could have some like king high floats and things. But if he's got them, then fuck our lives. So I did elect to empty the clip, which I'm pleased with. I'm happy with the bet. And sadly for us, he floated the Jack 6 on the flop and then backed into a flush draw, then backed into top pair and decided to make the hero call. Versus my range here, this is a major losing call. Yeah, he's got me beat this time, but most of the time here I'm going to have much better than 4-5. I'm going to have Sept, I'm going to have Ace King, I'm going to have Aces, I'm going to have Kings, I'm going to have probably not Jacks, maybe Jacks or still. So I guess my range here is cost not good, it's not making money, but it made him money this time and it probably made him quite happy. So there we go. If we can't win, let's make people happy. Oops. So here we've flopped top set. I don't know where everyone's cards are. Oh, it's only him that's got them, that's why. This guy was fucking manic. He was blue tagged. He was like checking and calling a ton, but then making huge bets. And he was so passive that most of the time that when he was making his big bets, I was just giving him credit for actually having it, because he was check calling a lot. Check call, check call, check call with some very weak hands, but sometimes he would go check call, donk big. And I never really got to see what he was doing it with, but he wasn't doing it that frequently. So I'm presuming he was just like maybe overvaluing some value hands sometimes, or I didn't think he was bluffing, put it that way. Because his style seemed to me like when he was weak, he was happy check calling, and then when he was leading, it felt to me like he was value betting. Anyways, we min bet, which is like quarter pot. I don't think we should be doing that against this player. I think we're overdoing it with the small bets here. I mean, maybe he's trying to induce a raise, but I think we should go bigger. We should go 2 blinds here. We should go 60. But I was sticking to my strategy of quarter pot C bets, 1/3 pot C bets, that type of thing. But against this player, I think we probably should be moving away from that and getting bigger with our sets on these wet boards. He calls. Turn obviously bricks out. He now leads for 180, which, bearing in mind my read was when he's leading because he's liking his hand. I hope a raise here. I don't remember what happened, but I hope a raise here. I'm hoping that he's got an overpair, or he's got 2 pairs, or a worse set, flush draws, that type of thing. Maybe not so many flush draws. I think he'd probably just be calling with them. I did put quite a sizable raise in, which I was pleased with, and then the river completely breaks. He bets again, and unlike earlier in the video when my confidence was low and I didn't jam the river with my set of 7s against the regular set of 5s, I'm happy to report we did go with, I hope we went with the jam here. We did go with the jam. If he's got 8-6, then tough titties for us. And he called, and this time we got max value, which I'm really pleased about. It was a nice pickup. He kind of set me on a positive path. I was reinforced with my strategies beginning to work, even though with the 4-5 hand I didn't like the result, but I liked how I played, and I feel like I started playing like really quite well again in this session tonight, and I'm a lot more positive than I was at the start of the day. There's some interesting hands to come. We don't win them all, but I'm much happier with how I've been playing. So this is the next hand. I don't actually remember this one. I was going to fold, but this guy was too fishy, so we called. We flop a big fat nothing. Ah, right, we're looking at the wrong fucking hand. Are we looking at the kings here, or are we looking at the king 10? That's probably why I don't remember the king 10. Probably nothing happened. We're probably looking at the kings. No, I wonder why I didn't remember it. So yeah, obviously we're going to 3-bet here with kings. This guy was quite fishy, and I didn't make the same mistake that I made last time when I just like min bet versus a fish. We've got the overpair, we've got a board where we can get tons of action from all kinds of worse hands. So I do go with the bigger bet, which I'm pleased with. He calls. We're not in love with the ace on the turn. I'm not saying he has much ace-x here, but it's going to prevent us from getting value a lot. And this guy was could be pretty aggressive. So he did go for the check, and he checked back. And I think if he has an ace, he bets it. So the question on the river is, now do we go for something value bet like £3 and try and get called by who knows what? Or do we check and give him one last chance to bluff? I decided he couldn't call with too many hands, so we did check. He made a big bet and we made the quick call, and that was nice. That worked out too. And again, I'm just happy with my read there. I wasn't getting, like in the past, I've been getting that kind of desperate-ish with those hands, maybe try to make some blocker bets or what have you. And I just went with a read that this guy's pretty aggressive. He can have lots of stuff that we're ahead of here that can't call but can absolutely bluff. And I was really happy with my read then. It's a simple hand. I'm not pretending this is anything good, but when you've been doubting yourself, low on confidence, etc., when your reads start working again, it's a big confidence boost. And like I said, I'm feeling a lot better now than I was at the start of today's session. And yeah, I hope the things are starting to turn around a little bit. So move on to this hand. As you can see, I've min raised from under the gun with 8-7 suited. Been 3-bet by a pretty aggressive regular, who, to be frank, I don't rate too highly. Probably a winning player because of Sky, but I don't rate him too highly. I think he's one of the worst regulars. Maybe that's cruel, but yeah, I don't think he's that good. Let's put it that way. So I wasn't going to call, but then this guy come along who was, when I joined the table, he had an enormous stack, like 130 odd pounds. I'm not sure where it's at now. He'd been like clearly quite psychotic. And I observed the table a little bit before joining, because I don't typically join tables that have 3 regulars at them, irrespective of whether I think they're much good or not. But this guy was being like so splashy, I felt like we just needed the Jesus seat become available, and we just snapped it up and took it. So we did call here. We don't like the situation too much, but you know, if we flop well, a good chance we can win a big stack from this dude. So I did call. And we pretty much flopped the World's Fair. At this point, we could be 100 blinds deep, and I'm not going to do anything other than go all in. We have a pair, and we have an open-end straight flush draw. That's just about as sexy as it can get. Nice big pot. My plan here was to try and check raise versus this fellow here. But he spoiled things by donking out. I think we just raised now. What we don't want to do is see a shit turn come off, having pot it again and it being a weird spot. I just want to raise here while I really, really enjoy my equity. Obviously we're going nowhere. Even if he jams, we're just like, well, whatever, let's go. He folds quickly. This dude just calls, and then the queen comes, which is exactly the situation we didn't really want to be in, which was like we're on a turn with like just less than a half pot bet left, and a bad card came off. And I was thinking, if he donks here, we have to call, but how shit's life going to be, you know, because we're probably going to be behind. We've still got a ton of equity, but don't like it. He checked, and I don't think we've got the best hand at this point. Rarely. You know, Jack 10's got there, for example. He could just have some stronger hands that he's going to be too fishy to fold. If he has a hand like pocket 10s here, 9x, pocket jacks, all of those things, I think he's just never going to fold them. But we just have that much equity. I decided to jam anyway and just hope he finds a fold. Unfortunately, was he calls with the ace 9, which is kind of one of the hands we were hoping we might get him off. Like 9x. But it didn't matter because we binked the straight flush on the river and we dragged down a pot. And yeah, again, this is just us getting lucky here. But again, it just felt really good. It kind of felt right. The tide's turning at last. You know, maybe we're going to get on a bit of a roll here. My confidence was already up because I was happy with how I was playing. But the fact that in this session we've already dragged down 2 big pots, it was a big fillip. It really improved my my mental state, my mindset, and yeah, fine, we've sucked out there, but again, I think we played the hand completely fine. I have no issue with how we played the hand. Yeah, we had to suck out, which you never want to do, but I think we played the hand right, and that's my job. That's what we're supposed to do: play the hand right, let the cards fall how they fall. So here we're in another pot with our friend earlier, who we took chips from when we set up a set the guy. So we flop a flush draw on a paired board. We continue with our 1/3 pot c-bet strategy. He calls, turns a deuce, turns a 3. What do I say? I don't remember exactly what happened this hand now. What am I wanting to see? I don't hate a check back here, but I think we should probably continue barreling. I mean, you can have stuff like 10-9, King 10, some worse flush draws sometimes, all of which will call, and we can just check back the river unimproved, I guess. Did go for a bet. He called again, and then the 5 came on the river, which is nothing. And he leads out, and we don't have the greatest of bluff catchers here. Having diamonds is not a good situation for catching bluffs here, because we do block some of his draws, but we don't block like any, like, I don't know, 8-9, 7-8, and like, he can have some straight draws too. Ace 10 that we're not beating. King 10, 10-9, 10-8, lots and lots of things. I didn't like this because I don't like bluff catching when we hold shit tons of blockers. I think against a regular, excuse me, against a regular, I think this is like a really, really shit hand to bluff catch with. But this guy been doing this quite a lot, like check calling and leading. Now last time we did it, he had a 5. He had a set of 5s. I mean, I'm not sure I like this call. I did make the call, but I'm not sure that I like it. Well, we got lucky and he had the 7-8. I think I'd probably almost rather call there if we had like Ace 10, something like that, without diamonds. I think I'd prefer it as a call then, even though we block his 10-9. I think we block less of his draws, but yeah, it didn't feel like he had much bank. I thought if he had a queen, he would almost certainly bet the turn, because that seemed to be his thing, like check, call, bet, if he had something. So when he check calls twice and then bets the river, it just felt like he had a lot of missed draws. And we did that earlier in the video with that ace jack, which is horrendous, but we raised the turn and then called the river. So again, we can't just never bluff catch. I'm not sure this is the best situation to do it in, but given my read on this opponent, which was, well, I thought he would have bet sooner if he made a hand. I don't think he would have like waited till the river. It just felt like he's gonna have enough just like bluffs here that hopefully we can call, because he's that bad. Against a better player, I don't think I would call here, but against someone who's really bad, I elected to make the call, and fortunately it worked out. So we're nearly done. This is, I think, the second to last hand. This is the same player we played against earlier, which was the set of 5s, and that last time when he bluffed. He's limp min raised the button here, which, whenever I see fish limp min raise the button, or any position, it scares me. Possibly more than it should, but it scares me. I think maybe we could just go with a 3-bet here to like £6 or whatever, and if he jams, hate life, but expect him to call with worse hands a decent amount of the time. But I don't know. I hadn't seen him do this yet, and usually the limp min raise is just aces or kings way too often. So I kind of decided to take like quite a cautious approach here. We get a pretty good flop. Check, he bets half pot. We just call, of course, no reason to raise. Turns another good card. We check. He bets pretty big, and I'm not liking it. I'll be honest with you. I'm really not liking the situation. I think he's going to have an awful lot of pocket aces. We check the river again, of course. And he goes all in, and he hadn't done this, you know. Yeah, we'd caught him with the bluff in the last hand, but he's just representing like a really strong hand. The last hand he didn't represent very much. This time he's representing a strong hand. He's limp raised pre, and he's gone bet shove. And this might be shit. This might be really wimpy, and what have you. But I wasn't happy from the minute he limp raised, and I eventually didn't like it, but folded. And is it a good fold or not? I don't know, but it felt at the time like he's just going to show up there with aces and kings way too often. I don't think he has king queen, don't think he has a flush very often. I think he'd have aces or kings way too often, and not that many bluffs really. I can't think of too many bluffs he would have that would do that. We block ace queen, ace king, maybe if he's just completely blowing his brains out. I'm not sure, but I'm not unhappy with that fold. I'm not happy that I didn't win the hand. I'm not happy that we folded an overpair to an absolute whale. But it just felt, I don't know, it just felt at the time like he was going to show me aces or kings too often. And I just made what is probably quite a nitty fold. So on to the very last hand. This guy was an unknown. I've not really seen him before. We were at the table because there was a fish at one point at the table, and I didn't know much about him. He's min raised the button. We have queen 10 suited. We could 3-bet or call. Given he's an unknown, I elected to just call. We didn't flop very much. He bet relatively small, and if he is a regular I don't know yet, or a new regular to the site or whatever, he's going to be betting that board, that size, with a relatively high frequency. So I like to go sometimes, and we went for a check raise here. I like to go for check raise in spots like this where his range isn't super strong, and we have like lots and lots of like backdoor equity. So my plan here would be to check raise, give up on bad turns for our actual hand, and continue on good turns. So we did go for the check raise. He disappointed some calls, but we get a pretty sensational turn. And if we don't barrel this, it makes a mockery of our check raise. He calls again. And then we drew for the nuts, and I had a problem in this hand because I fucking didn't know what size to go with. I was like, do we go with the small size? Do we go with the pot? Do we go with the overbet? And I wasn't sure, and you'll see I was like, what do we do? 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 And the timeout was going down. I thought I need to do something, and I just jammed. And I'm not sure I like it. I think we maybe could have just gone for like a pot size bet there, or slightly less. I mean, we would want to do this some of the time with our like ace X hands, our ace, like if we have like an ace 5 suited, an ace whatever suited in spades, we're going to want to like sometimes go with an overbet jam here. I guess given that all the draws have missed except the exact one we have, I guess I don't hate it, because he might just level himself here to call with a king. If he's got like ace king, king queen, that type of thing, he might just level himself into calling, given that like the main draw on the flops missed, the backdoor draw on the turns missed, except for the straight, you know. And I went for it, and I probably shouldn't have, and he folded pretty quickly, so maybe he just had a misdraw himself, who knows, maybe he'd had spades or something that just missed. And yeah, maybe we could have dragged down a bigger pot there, but that's where very rarely do I need that much time on Sky, but now and again I would just like a little bit more time banking spots like that, where you want to try and be a bit, you want to try and be precise with your sizing. But anyways, I went for the lot. I panicked and went for the jam in the end. Hoped he called, he didn't, but things have picked up pretty nicely for us, can't lie. This is where we're up to now. In the month we played 59 hours now in the month, over 36 sessions. We picked up to £271 profit now, which isn't where we want to be. £4.57 isn't where we want to be. These are pounds, not dollars, by the way. It's just the way the spreadsheet's set up. But it's an improvement. We're getting there. You know, it's been hovering around like £3.18 an hour for a while. We're getting up there, and hopefully we can continue our improved play in the next few sessions, and who knows, we might still reach £500 by the end of the month, which is below where I wanted it to be. I was trying to make £600 a month for the next 3 months. Even though we're not doing that challenge anymore, it's still something I would like to do. It's not out of the realms of possibility we pick up 7 buy-ins or so in the next 10 days. It's certainly possible, but we're behind we are behind the pace a little bit, but you know, that's going to happen sometimes, and I'm just really pleased that we're finally starting to climb a little bit. I mean, it feels really entitled to be mourning and being downbeat because I'm only up £271 in a month playing a game. It does feel a little bit like, you know, there'll be a lot of guys watching this video who don't make that much very often, or maybe aren't winning yet and would love to have like a plus £271 a month. So I don't want to sound too entitled and bitchy and smug, or however you want to word it, because that isn't the case, but I do feel like things haven't been going our way. But I'm really pleased that even though they haven't been going our way, and even though I have lulled into playing below my A game and had some mental game issues, I'm really pleased that despite all of that, I'm still managing to put a profitable month together, which I say I was playing on a tougher site, or if my mental game was where it was years ago, I mean, this could easily be a minus £400 or £500 a month, and you know, putting a big crimp in the end of the year. So I'm really pleased with the fact it isn't a total disaster. It's not what I want it to be, but it's not a total disaster. And I do put a lot of that down to excuse me, a lot of the things that I do right away from the tables. I still continue to try and game select as well as I can. I haven't made the mistakes I made in the past of like trying to add too many tables just to try and like smash my way out of the current situation with the volume. I've stuck to my game plan. I haven't been running well, I haven't been playing as well as I could do, but I've stuck to my game plan as best I can, and hopefully we're coming out the other side now. Who knows, maybe the next video will be downbeat again, but yeah, it's starting to feel like we're coming back to where we need to be, and hopefully we can finish the month off with a flourish. And if we get this up to 500, I'll take it. I'll be happy. If we get it up to even 400 or so, I won't be super disappointed. If we get this hourly up to above 6, I'll take it, given how the start of the month's gone. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this extended video. Any comments or questions, please do fire them at me. Take care everybody, and bye bye for now.